Hari Om. All of us at all times have a mixture of the three moods, the tamas, rajas and sattva. These three moods in combination, in different proportions, are present in all of us at all times. The most predominant mood in us, most of the time, determines the kind of character and personality that we are. So, these details of the three moods have been described in detail in our previous chapter and the last talk. Shankaracharya starts off by talking about Rajoguna because that is the most predominant mood most of us are in most of the time. This Rajoguna is one which propels activity, and we are constantly active in pursuing our own desires. So we are always active in this world, trying to fulfill our desires in one form or another, and therefore we are in a Rajoguna mood most of the time. And all the characteristics like desire, anger, greed, arrogance, hypocrisy, jealousy, envy, these are all characteristics of the Rajoguna. And this is basically the reason for our bondage. You remember when we started off with Viveka Chudamani, the student asked the question, what is this thing called bondage? Why are you saying that I am in bondage? I feel I am a free person, I can do anything that I want. But then you, meaning the teacher, you are saying that I am in bondage. What is this bondage? So here is the answer that the teacher is giving the student. This Rajoguna that we are in most of the time is the cause of the bondage that we are in. And the agitations that we go through in our mind because of this bondage is called vikshepa, meaning constant restlessness and agitation, wanting to fulfill our desires. Now when these agitations go on and on and on, we get exhausted. And then we slip from that mood into the tamasic mood. In the tamasic mood, there is what is called the veiling of the intellect. Meaning, we all have experience that when you are extremely angry, you get angry about something and you go into a rage. When you get that angry, you don't know what you are saying. And you don't know who you are saying it to. And you act in a way contrary to your normal personality. That's because your intellect is veiled at that time. So you need your job badly, and you are working, and your boss criticizes you unfairly, and you get angry. Now you know you need this job real badly because you need to support your family with this job. But because you get so angry, you lose, your intellect gets veiled, and then you let the boss have it. You yell and scream at him and you use all kinds of bad words on him. What's the consequence? You get fired. So you pay the price for veiling of that intellect. Also, when you have extreme desire, and extreme desire is called lust. When you have a desire for an object or a thing or a person, in an extreme manner, you get what is called lust, and that also veils your intellect. And once your intellect is veiled, you would resort to anything and everything to get what you want. And this is the tamasic nature of that mood. the intellect gets veiled, and that's called avarana. We cannot see our own higher nature and we act foolishly. We don't see things for what they are. In fact, we perceive them in the opposite way. So in that mood, when I'm in the tamasic mood and somebody advises me, hey, don't do this, you are being stupid in doing that, I think in my mind that this person is not advising me, actually he is now working against me. He is part of this conspiracy against me. So and I will, unload on him as well. So not only do I not perceive the good things, I interpret it the opposite way. And then the sattvic mood, it is compared to pure water. Water is always pure. It can never be contaminated. Even the sewage water is pure. It's only that there is sewage in it's contaminated by sewage. By the appropriate filtering process, it can be eliminated and pure water is still there. Sattvic mood is also like that. It is present in us at all times, but it is contaminated by the rajoguna and the tamoguna. So if we lower or get the tamoguna and rajoguna down, the sattvic mood will come to the surface. The examples given before is about the water in a bucket. If there are 5 buckets out there with water, one bucket has water but it has a lot of mud in it. The sun remaining the same will reflect on that water. But because there is mud in that water, the reflection is very dull. The next one may have a little bit of dirt. The reflection is a little better. And if there is a bucket that has only pure water, it will reflect 100% of the sunlight. So in the same way, the Lord is shining through us all the time. If our mood is mainly sattvic, it will reflect that divinity 100%. But we are all contaminated by rajoguna and tamoguna. So the divinity is reflected only to different extents, lower extents. So as much as possible, if we can get the tamoguna and rajoguna out of the way, we'll be reflecting divinity more and more. When someone has purified mind to a good extent, if there is a person, and we know several Mahatmas and our Gurudev and everybody, who have purified their mind to such an extent that the rajoguna and tamoguna has been removed to a good extent. When they act, in them sattva is predominant, they will naturally act in a divine manner and be automatically turned away from the unreal. We are always pursuing the unreal. Unreal meaning anything that is not permanent. We think something is going to give us happiness and we pursue that. And when we get it, we realize that it's not something that is going to last forever. But we keep on pursuing it over and over again. So we are always attracted to the unreal. A sattvic person who had removed his tamo and rajoguna away a lot, he will automatically be turned off towards these unreal things. Their qualities are described in Gita chapter 13 and 16. We have gone over that many times before. These people who have gotten rid of their tamoguna and rajoguna, their qualities are fearlessness, purity, steadfastness, control of senses, charitability, sacrifice, straightforwardness, ahimsa, satyam, absence of rage, peacefulness, no crookedness, uncovetousness, compassion to beings, gentleness and modesty. These are all qualities of such a person who has minimized his rajas and tamas. Now if there is a person who has completely removed tamas and rajas, and has pure sattva only, that person, eternally cheerful, supremely peaceful, content, blissful, constant devotion to Supreme Self. That's the realized master who does that. Now, Shankaracharya goes from description of these moods to the causal body. Now, we all know that we have three bodies. The gross body, the gross body that we have. And then there's a subtle body, the mind and intellect. The gross body, the mind and intellect is the subtle body. And then the thing that causes this is called the vasana, and that's called the causal body. Causal body means it is because of this vasana that you and I have this body and this mind and this environment that we are in. It is our vasanas that determine this kind of a body, in this kind of an environment, in this kind of time. All that was decided by our vasanas. So this is the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. So here Shankaracharya is now describing the causal body, called the Karana Sharira. It is a combination of these three gunas. The three gunas that we described, tamas, rajas and sattva. It is a combination of these three gunas that is called the causal body. The three states, the waking, dream and deep sleep, again, we go through these three stages every single day. The waking state, the dream state and the deep sleep state. In the waking state, we have the body, mind and intellect working at that time, during our waking state. In our dream state, the body is not working, only the mind and intellect is working. Because the body is flat, sleeping. It is not working. It is only the mind and intellect that is working, so we are dreaming at that time. In the deep sleep state, the body, mind and intellect, all three are resting. Only the vasana is active, or it is there. So, in the deep sleep state, it is only vasana. So, it is said, only the causal body is present in the deep sleep. All functions of the mind and intellect are suspended. So, when we are in deep sleep, all the things, all the experiences, all the memories of our experiences in our mind and intellect are dormant. In a seed state, like in a seed, if you take a seed, that seed has a potential tree in it already, but in a dormant state. But when it is planted and when it comes out, the entire tree comes to manifest. So this entire tree is unmanifest in that seed. In the same way, in deep sleep, our mind and intellect are in that seed-like unmanifest state. And when we wake up, it becomes manifest again. Remain in a subtle state, like a seed. All past experiences are in a seed state in the unmanifest form. Complete ignorance is a characteristic of this state. So because in the vasana state, when we are in deep sleep, we are totally ignorant of everything. We don't know anything. If you ask anybody in their deep sleep, what did they experience? We say nothing. We don't know. All we know is that there was absence of agitation. We know, no matter what our worries are, what we are anxious about, the moment we fall asleep, all that is gone. So we are worried before we fall asleep, we are worried when we wake up. But we are aware that during the time that we were in deep sleep, we were not worried. So this awareness is not only of the things that we are worrying about, but it is also aware of the absence of worry. That is the quality of this awareness. And all creatures go through this. Then he talks about anatma. Again, one of those questions that the student asked was, what is this atma and anatma that you are talking about all the time? So now here Shankaracharya is describing what anatma is. And he says, all equipments. Now anatma has been described in Bhagavad Gita also in chapter 3, chapter 13 as kshetra. So here Shankaracharya says, the body with all its sense organs. What is anatma is described here. The body with all its sense organs. Our body has 5 sense organs. And 5 sense organs of perception and 5 organs of action. So that is in the body. So all the body with the sense organs, all the physiological functions, that's the prana, which are going on. The 5 physiological functions, the apana, vyana, udana and samana. These 5 physiological activities are constantly going on to keep the body going all the time. So that the mind and intellect, ego, and all these modifications such as pain and pleasure, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor, these are all modifications of the mind. All sense objects, all gross elements, all perceptible world of objects, emotions and thoughts, up to the unmanifest vasana are all anatma. So basically, what he is saying is, the body, the mind, the intellect and all its modifications, all the sense objects out there in this world, and everything that is perceptible by the mind and intellect, meaning anything that we see, feel or hear, is perceptible by us. So everything that is in this world, the perceiver, feeler and thinker, the ones who are experiencing all that, and the world of things, objects, emotions and thoughts, all these things, this entire complex of things, including the vasanas, up to this point, below are all called anatma, the non-self. So the self is different from all the non-self. This is all non-self. So the Lord and Shankaracharya also says, it is the non-self that we are constantly going after, when in actual fact we should be going after the self. The anatma is the creation of Maya. Now you and I have been told many times that we are nothing but the Lord Himself. But due to the influence of Maya, we come to identify with this world that is unreal. And we think that we are this body, that we have this mind, and that we have to function in this world. And happiness is out there in this world. All this distortion in our thinking came about because of the influence of Maya. Now Maya, by definition, is something that is not. So anything that is created by something that does not exist cannot be real. And therefore, this whole thing is unreal. Anything out of a non-existent thing is unreal. And although it is non-existent and unreal, you and I look at this world and say, what is this? What are they talking about unreal? Everything is real. I see everything. It is like the mirage. When somebody is walking in the desert for a long time and he is tired and he is thirsty and he sees water. Not only does he see water, when he comes closer, he sees it is not only just a puddle of water, it is a lake. And then when he comes even closer, it is not only a lake, it is like a sea. And he even sees a ship on there's a ship that is going on the sea.
Total hallucination.
And in that ship he can see the captain standing on the deck. So he waves to the captain. And he sees the captain waving back. All these things happen because, in his mind he first sees that water. And then he sees not only is that water not there, his entire imagination has all been a fabrication of his mind. This is how we are. We not only see that this world is real, we indulge in it so much that we see everything. Just like, the example given about the snake and the rope. There's a coiled rope in the corner and the light is not very bright. We think it is a snake. We don't see the rope for what it is, so we think it is a snake. Once that thought comes to my mind that that's a snake, I can see the hood. It is opening, and I can see the green eyes looking at me. Then I can see the stripes on the water. All these, added things, and I suffer because of that. And I think it is coming closer to me and is going to bite me. And I am suffering because of this illusion that I have. How do I get out of this illusion? The moment I see the rope for what it is. I don't need to see the whole rope. If there is a lightning suddenly, and in that lightning I see a small part of the rope, that's all that is needed. The moment I see that slight 1 inch of the rope, my delusion is ended. I know that it is a rope. In the same way, if we only can see a glimpse of that reality, all this delusion that we have of this world will be gone. Then he talks about the anatma and the atma, paramatma. The paramatma is once you realize the self in you, you will be released from all bondages that have been persecuting you. This Atma, the Paramatma, is the one that is enlivening you and me. Everything within that remains, everything is constantly changing. The BMI is changing, and through all these changes, there is something within me that remains unchanged, called I. Now, everything in this world is changing. This body is changing, the mind is changing, this world is changing, everything is changing. But who is able to recognize all these changes? I am able to recognize these changes. I know the changes that are going on in me. See, I have gone through childhood, youth, young adult, middle age, and now I am an old man. All these changes have happened in my body. But there is something in me that had gone through all these, and that is the I that I am talking about. I was present in all these, and I am aware of all those things that I had gone through. Same for everybody. This I is that awareness, that pure consciousness. That I that we are talking about is that pure consciousness that goes through all these without ever going through any change by itself. It is like a witness. It sees everything, but at the same time it doesn't undergo any change. The sun sees everything, meaning the sun is a witness to everything that is going on in this world. The sun sees worship going on in the temple. The sun witnesses a crime being committed out there. The sun is a witness to all that. But the sun is not affected by one or the other. It is just a witness. In the same way, the pure consciousness is a witness to everything that is going on within us. The body goes through all these changes. The mind goes through happiness, sadness. Behind all these changes, I, the consciousness, remain unchanged, a witness of what is happening. Me in the world as well as what is going on inside of me. In my mind and intellect, all activities are called vrittis. See, when in my mind, when there are agitations, those are called vrittis. the consciousness is aware of these vrittis. When there are no agitations, like in deep sleep, my consciousness is aware that there are no vrittis in my mind at that time also. The Atman is the core of our personality. It does not mean that it is a tiny microscopic entity. See, if somebody asks, where is your Atman? We all have an Atman in us. Where is that Atman? So the answer is, it's in the core of your personality. Which means, it kind of gives you an idea that Atman is a very microscopic thing that is hiding somewhere in your heart or somewhere. It is not. It is described as it is in the core of your personality. But this Atman, the enlivening principle in your body, is present in every cell of your body. It pervades your entire body. So it is not a microscopic thing. It is there all over our body. But our Gurudev gives the example, the government of a country is present all over, up to the frontiers, the border of the country. The government pervades everything that is there. Yet, if you want to contact the government, you cannot say that the government is here also, so let me contact the government right here. No, you have to go to Sacramento, because that is where the government of California is. So you have to go to Sacramento. Even in Sacramento, it is not that everything in Sacramento is the government. There is a building called the Secretariat or whatever it is, and there you go, and even there you have to go to the particular department that deals with your appeal or petition or that you want to get approved. In the same way, the Lord is present all over us, but if we want to contact Him, it is through our intellect and mind that we have to contact Him. So that's why it is said that He is in the core of our personality. The self is perceived only when the mind is quiet. When the mind is quiet, meaning when the rajas and the tamas are minimized, the mind is quiet. There is no agitation. When there is less agitation, we are able to access what is behind the mind, because there is the consciousness that is enlivening our mind and intellect and the body all the time. So if that is there, if we quieten the mind, it is like a river. A river is water flowing. Let's say if all the water is brought to a standstill and there is no flow of water, then you will see the bottom very clearly. As long as the water is flowing, you will never see the bottom, the substrate. But when the water is stopped, you see the bottom there very clearly. In the same way, when the mind is a flow of thoughts, constant flow of thoughts. If the thoughts can be slowed down, to that extent you will be able to perceive the consciousness behind. If it is totally stopped, there is no thought at all, then you would perceive the consciousness right there, the reality behind, the Atman that is behind the mind. The ego is the doer and the enjoyer. The Brahman that enlivens the jiva is not the doer. The mind and intellect with its the Antakarana is the one that is called the jiva. That's the jiva that leaves the body when we die. The Atman does not die when the body dies. So then what happens? What happens to the Atman? He is enlivening me, and when I die, what happens to him? It's like the pot space. If there is a pot here, there is a pot, there is a space inside the pot, and there is a space outside the pot. If the pot is broken, what happens to the space in the pot? That space merges with the outside space. In fact, that pot space has always been the outside space anyhow. We artificially created that pot space by creating that pot. Even that pot was existing in that space. In the same way, Atman, the self, is in us. When this body dies, this Atman, the self, just merges with the Atman that is present everywhere, Brahman that is present everywhere. So that's the example that is given in the pot space. And we'll continue with that the next time.